Hey, what is up guys? Jeremy here and welcome back to another video. We're doing another best jailbreak setup video. I'm going to go through all the tweaks, the themes, all the values, and all the settings for the tweaks. So this will be a bit of a longer video. But I want to cover everything so that way you guys can basically copy this setup to your device if you want this exact setup to a T. So I will cover everything. If you guys haven't seen my previous best jailbreak setup video, it was kind of a retro iOS kind of style. I'll leave the playlist link down in the description for the series if you guys want to check that out as well. But anyways, like I said, gonna be a bit of a longer video. There's a lot of tweaks that are involved with making my device look the way it is. So we're gonna jump into this with the theme. I'm using Anemone to theme my device. Winterboard is kind of dead in the water. So Anemone is what's being used. And the main theme I'm using for my icons is called Muze 3. It's definitely a really cool looking theme in my opinion. As you can see, I'm just using Muze 3 and I'm only using the icons. You could also use, the theme for the control center, settings, and also there's UI, but I just like the icons from it. Of course, you guys can adjust this and customize it for your device any way you want. That's just how I like it. So I'm using Muze 3, and if you guys would notice, my icons also have kind of a 3D looking effect, and I think the effect looks really, really good for the, the app icons. And I'm using a different theme for that. So I'm using Omega, and I'm using Omega iOS 9 AE 3D. So that's basically a 3D effect for the app icons. And like I said, I think it's just a really cool look for the app icons to have that kind of 3D effect. They almost look like they're popping out at you a little bit. So a really cool looking effect from that theme. So I'll probably use that in future setups just because I think that 3D effect is really, really cool looking. I am using a couple other things here. I have iOS 10 UISounds, which is the keyboard tick and also the lock sound from iOS 10. And it's a very subtle difference on your device, but it's much better in my opinion. If you message or text a lot on your device and lock it all the time, you'll definitely notice the sound difference, and I like it better than iOS 9. I'm also using the Apple rainbow logo. This is basically a respring logo, so instead of the Apple icon being white or black, it's that retro rainbow style, which looks really good in my opinion, so I'm using that as well. And that's pretty much it for themes. That's everything that I'm using to make my icons look the way they look. So now I'm going to cover how I got my springboard to change basically the layout. It's pretty much a stock layout. It's just kind of squished in a bit. And I actually found this layout to be really functional, especially one-handed. I can reach every application without straining my hand. So it's actually kind of nice having it kind of squished in like it is. And I just like the way it looks. So for the dock, it's actually still there. So as you guys can see, I can drop my settings into the dock. I'm just not using it. And that is due to Anemone as well. If you go into Anemone and go into its default kind of theme section, that's where you enable your default dock. So if you just have everything turned off here, you basically won't have a dock. It's still there, but there's just no dock background basically. So that's how I got rid of the dock. And then to actually change the physical layout of the springboard, I'm using a tweak called Boxy 2. So if I swipe up on my springboard, it brings open the quick settings, which this really isn't too helpful. It's kind of cool because you can basically just on the fly change the layout, but you'd have your user configuration and then everything else is kind of just a made up configuration. But if you change the physical layout and the settings, you could do some pretty cool stuff with it. But that's just quick settings. So I'll go back to my actual setup and then we'll jump into the settings application and go into the settings for Boxy 2. So I have it enabled, obviously. You don't really need quick settings enabled once you have the layout you have. So that way, if you accidentally swipe up on your springboard, it doesn't bring open the Boxy 2 menu. So you can disable that if you want, which is really cool. But the section we're going to go into is the presets and user settings. So as you can see, there's vertical icon padding, horizontal icon padding, side icon inset, top icon inset. A bit confusing sounding, but if you notice at the top, it says how to use user config. And if you click on that, it shows you a really good image representation of what you're changing. So the 1 is the side icon effect, the 2 is the type icon, or not effect, but inset, top icon inset, vertical icon padding, horizontal icon padding. So if you just kind of look at this image and then adjust the numbers accordingly, you'll eventually come up with the exact layout that you want. Now do keep in mind, if you have an iPhone 6s Plus or an iPhone 6 Plus with the larger screen, this exact layout will not work for you because obviously the dimensions of the screen is different, and this is changing it in pixels. So my vertical icon padding is set to 20 pixels, my horizontal icon padding is set to 20 pixels, my side icon inset is 40, and my top icon inset is 90. Now one thing that's cool is if you can get the spacing between the app icons to what you want, you can actually auto center it horizontally and auto center it vertically, which is really cool to just do that. That way it just auto centers everything and it works really nicely. So that's how I have Boxy set up, basically just to change my springboard layout. There's general configurations. I have square icons enabled. I don't know why I have that enabled, because the theme is overriding that, so that's not necessary. Icon layout settings. Here I have number of columns 4, number of rows 5. Of course, you could get crazy with this to totally customize your springboard, but that's how I have it set up for, my actual springboard layout that you guys see. And then you obviously have the custom icon layout toggle right there, which you're going to want to turn on as well. So Boxy 2, that is basically how I have the springboard layout changed, and that's how it looks with the settings I have it configured at. So that is Boxy 2. Now the next thing I have enabled is DarkCC. So if we swipe up on Control Center, as you can see, it has that dark effect, which is actually pretty similar to the notification center. It's more noticeable if I'm out on the springboard. So if we swipe up on DarkCC, as you can see, it's got a nice kind of night mode, dark look. It's also a bit more transparent. I'll get more into that in a minute. Same as notification center. I like it just because it's pretty close to making Control Center and notification center kind of the same darkness, I guess you could say. It makes them really, really close, and I like the the effect of it, the look of it. So DarkCC, that's how I've gotten my Control Center to be darker. Next up we have CircleIcons. That basically just makes all the icons within the settings app circles, not really necessary. Priority Hub I'm not currently using. Let's see here, where do we want to go next? ClassicFolders, that's what I'm using for my folder system. And in my opinion, this is better than Apple's folder system. I think it's just a perfect folder system, honestly, for iOS. It's kind of like how they were back in the day, pre-iOS 7, I want to say, or pre-iOS 6. But it has that modern kind of new look to it, and I really like ClassicFolders. I think it looks good. It's more functional. You get more app icons per page in the folder. It's not that stupid 3x3 that takes up just the middle of the screen, wasting a lot of screen real estate. The animations look good, so that's what ClassicFolders is. I think it just looks really, really good. So next we got Hidemi X. Now this is going to take me a while to go through Hidemi X because I'm using this to hide a lot of stuff on my device. This is the main tweak for hiding all the different little elements on my device. So we'll go into configuration and I'll go through these one by one, showing you what I have hidden so you guys can get the look that I have. So for alerts, I don't have anything adjusted. Animations, I have it sped up just a little bit, just a skosh. My animations are just a little bit faster than normal, and the value for that is 0.59, not really necessary. The app switcher, I have the hide app icons and labels. So if we open up the switcher, as you guys can see, there's no labels, there's no app icons, there's just basically the previews of the applications, which is a really clean look. I have the dimming color tint set to black, as you guys can see. The blur style is set to transparent black, no blur. The blur amount doesn't matter because the blur style I have doesn't need a blur, but I have it on extra, extra, extra large for using that with different blur styles, but I'm just using transparent black at the moment. Switcher home screen card wallpaper, I have transparent for blur style, so I have that set to transparent. So basically that is what it will do to the wallpaper on the home screen card, which is not really that noticeable. So that's how I have the app switcher set up. Control center, I have hide separators, I have hide darkening view, so that way when you open it up it doesn't darken the screen behind it, which kind of makes it look a little bit better in my opinion. It makes it look a little bit more transparent when it comes to control center. And that's pretty much it for in here. I have the used custom blur strength, of course. My blur strength is 8.0. So that is how I have the blur kind of changed for it. That's why it looks a bit more transparent, as you guys can see the app icons through Control Center, which I think is a really cool looking effect. So that's the blur strength I'm using. Like I said, 8.0. And that is it for Control Center. Next we have the dock. I don't have anything changed for the dock. Folders, nothing changed there either. Force touch, home screen. So I have the page dots hidden, as you guys can see, so hide the page dots, and that's it for home screen. Icons. I got colorize icon badges. That's irrelevant because I have a different tweak called BadgeMiser, which is overrunning that right now, so that doesn't really matter. I have hide only folder badges. That way, if an application has a badge in a folder, my folder's not going to have a badge because I think it looks kind of stupid. I also do have hide all icon labels, which obviously is to get rid of all the labels underneath the app icons, which I think is a super clean look to get rid of all that. Of course, if you're going to have a theme on, it'll take you probably a little while to get, which app icon is for what application memorized. It will take you probably a little bit, but I think, for how minimal and clean it looks, it's definitely worth it. I have the hide tapped icon shadow hidden as well, because that tapped icon shadow can sometimes come into conflict with themes, and it looks kind of unrealistic when you click on an app to open it, so I have that hidden as well, and that is it for the icons. For the lock screen, I have a lot of stuff enabled here. I have hide the cancel button, hide the emergency button, hide the camera but keep it functional, hide the control center grabber, and also hide the notification center grabber. I also have hide the date label, hide the time clock, hide the slide to unlock, and that is pretty much everything for the lock screen. So a lot of stuff hidden. I don't think I have any custom text sizes or anything like that. Nope. So basically just using HideMeX to hide a buttload of stuff on the lock screen. Notification center, there's a lot of stuff hidden here as well. I have the bottom separators hidden. I have the hide section tabs, hide the status bar, use a custom blur, and my custom blur strength for notification center is 12.0. And to give you guys an idea with what it looks like, as you can see, it's a bit more transparent. It's super clean looking. There's no status bar. There's no separators. If we go over to the no notifications, it's incredibly minimal. And I think that the blur value just adds to the effect, as you guys can see the icons going through it. So very cool look. That's basically how I have notification center set up. Next up is status bar. I have the battery icon hidden. I have the battery percent symbol hidden. For some reason, the percent symbol actually doesn't work. As you guys can see, the percent symbol is still there. I remember for, I believe it was iOS 9.0.2 jailbreak, that worked. I think it just needs an update, and it will get rid of that percentage symbol. So as soon as that's working, I will have that hidden. That's why I have it enabled. Also, the Bluetooth icon I have hidden, the carrier text, the clock AM or PM, even though I think that's being overrun by Hot Dog right now. And that's pretty much it. You basically can hide anything in here that you just don't want in your status bar. That's pretty much all I really care about. I don't really care about having the Bluetooth icon, because if I have something connected via Bluetooth, I know about it. So that's how I have the status bar set up. And then system-wide, I don't have anything done there. And then the first-party apps, I have nothing adjusted. And then third-party apps, I don't have anything adjusted either. So that is everything set up for HideMeX. That's probably one of the most in-depth tweaks I'll have to cover for you guys, is HideMeX, just because it's being used to hide so many things. Another thing, while it's on my mind, The reason why there is no separator lines in my settings application, as you guys can see, there's no lines in it. That is because I have the tweak NoMoreSeparators, which makes the list views on your device look a lot more clean, not having all those lines. So that's another tweak I have installed and I'm using. Next up, we got Polus. This is basically how I've customized the icons within Control Center. So this is a very cool tweak as well. So basically what you can do is rearrange, all the different buttons within Control Center. You can move your flashlight to the right, or, basically do whatever. You have your bottom shelf and then your top shelf, like your airplane. As you can see, I've added the respring button to it. So it's 5 icons with the respring button. Basically allows you to reorganize it, change all the toggles, have it however you want. But one thing I'm using Polus for is the icons themselves, to give them just, the look of the icon. There's no button background or anything like that. So I have pagination enabled for both of them. I'm not sure exactly what pagination does, but as you can see, I have open to first page, and then also I have custom shape enabled, and then the shape I'm using is none. So it basically gets rid of that kind of square button background or circle button background. That's how I got those icons to look the way they do. So if we go to the top shelf, it's basically the same exact setup over here for the top icons, the airplane mode, Wi-Fi. It's literally just the icon, which looks really good in my opinion. So same thing here, pagination, the open to first page, custom shape, and the custom shape is none. So that's basically what I've used to make the toggles in Control Center look the way they look. Next up is SleekCode. And this is how I've made the passcode input on my lock screen look so minimal. So SleekCode basically allows you to get rid of the circles and change a whole bunch of stuff. You'll see in a minute. Another tweak I'm using for the passcode view is called RomanPasscode, which puts the Roman numerals instead of 1, 2, 3, 4. It's in Roman numerals instead of the numbers, which I think looks really, really cool. So I'll go ahead and put my passcode in. So that's what the passcode input view looks like. If we go into passcode settings, basically the way this works is when it's turned off, it's turned off. Like HideMeX, it's kind of hard to explain. In HideMeX, to hide the things, you have to turn them on. Within SleekCode, you have to turn them off. So the blur is still enabled. I have gotten rid of the alpha. I've gotten rid of the button rings. As you can see, it's turned off. The button animations is turned off as well. And then I have the hide emergency button, but I used Hidemi X to get rid of that. As you guys can see, it's not there. So I used a different tweak to do that. But that's basically how I have SleekCode set up to make my passcode view look so good. And then I don't have anything else adjusted here. Like I said, I've used Hidemi X to hide everything else. So that's SleekCode, just makes the passcode input kind of screen a lot more clean. Next up, we got Messages Customiser. Definitely an awesome tweak as we go into messages. As you guys can see, I basically have a dark mode enabled messages. I have, the kind of teal chat bubble on the right, and then the gray on the left. And then also that brings us to the next tweak, which is NudeKeys, which basically removes the button overlay on the keyboard, so it's completely flat looking. And you can also adjust the color. I have mine set up to be kind of like a dark gray to black gradient. So we'll go back in the settings and I'll show you guys how I have these set up as well. So Messages Customizer for the iMessage bubbles here. As you can see, I'll just show you the values. If you guys really want the exact colors I have, you can see the values and adjust yours to be exact. I'm not going to name off all the values, so if that's something you really want to be exact, you can just pause the video and adjust it on your device to be, exactly the same colors. But that is the iMessage bubbles and the other person bubbles. Next we have App Tint. Same thing goes here. I just have it set to a preset of dark gray. The background, I have it set to black, as you guys can see, which is a preset color. The info text, preset white. Other settings, I have the black navigation bars enabled, and I also have dark mode enabled. That's how my messages has, you know, such a dark kind of dark mode look to it, is because of those. So that's pretty much it for messages customizer. That's how I have it set up. Next up is NudeKeys. Like I mentioned, I have the background color enabled. The top color is, I have it as a preset, so I can just go in here. I think the top color is the top middle gray color, I want to say. And then obviously the bottom color is just the black preset color. So that's pretty easy to mimic. For the top color alpha, I have it set at 0.67. And then for the bottom color alpha, I have it set at 0.71. And that is how I have NudeKeys set up. Next up, we got BadgeMizer. I'll show this for, you know, the badges. It's kind of a cool looking, you know, effect, I think. Basically, I have the badge and I have the glow. It's called a glow, but it looks like, you know, basically shading. I have the glow set to a black, so that way it looks like it kind of has a 3D effect, which is really cool looking. Also with BadgeMizer, you can adjust the close buttons on them as well. As you can see, all the close buttons have that kind of shading glow effect, which makes them kind of pop out, and they're also color matched to the applications. I've also adjusted the size of them just slightly, I think, as well. So in BadgeMizer, we have the badge, the color here. I have mine set to automatic, so it's based on the app icon color, and then the opacity is 100%. The label color is, I want to say, oh, it still shows it, it's iron. So I have my label color set is iron, as you guys can see. The size is -0.11, and then the label position offset is not affected. I did not adjust that. The border is set to automatic, so automatic app icon color. The glow is just basically black, and then the glow opacity I have set to 71.6, because I've noticed if you go to 100%, how dark, you know, it is, it's too noticeable. So I brought that down to 71.6 for the glow or the shade behind the badge. You can also have animation. I haven't adjusted that at all. The shape is just circle default. The badge position is top right default. You can also use Roman numbers, which is pretty cool. I don't have that enabled because I like the regular numbers. The size is brought down to 0.17, so I adjusted the size of it. It's slightly smaller, and that is it for the badges. Now it's going to be very similar for the close box button. The color I have set to automatic, so it matches the app icon. The label is set to white, as you guys can see. The border, automatic to the app icon. The glow, basically the same thing, the black glow, pretty close to the one before. I believe the one before was like 71.6 or 71.6 or something like that. This one's at 72, so very, very close to the same opacity. Nothing done with the animation. The shape is the original circle. The position is the top left by default. The size is brought down to 0.18, so I adjusted the size of that as well, and that's all I've adjusted for the close box. So that's how I have the badges set up on my device. And pretty much I think the last tweak I got to cover is Lock Plus. I believe that's everything. We're at 23 minutes, so I've gone through everything, literally. So next up is Lock Plus. Now the way I have this set up is it's pretty much all the same, except for down here, just disable the theme's wallpaper, because I like to use my own wallpaper. So I disable the wallpaper within Lock Plus, and that's pretty much it. So if we go to the lock screen, it's going to show you guys the status bar just because I'm on AirPlay to record my screen, but normally that wouldn't be there. Just so you know, it wouldn't show a status bar. But as you can see with Lock Plus, basically you just have your theme, and what's cool with Lock Plus is you can actually grab onto it and move it around on your screen to be wherever you want. Go ahead and click the home button. Also, if we load the theme up, I'll look up the exact theme I have for you guys really quickly. I forget the name of it. I'll find it. It's right here. It's called Deem. I'll leave it in the description. I'll leave all of the tweaks I've mentioned down in the description, but Lock Plus, definitely one of the coolest tweaks for customizing your lock screen. Let's say we wanted to go with this one instead. we can grab onto it, we can move it down, and just like that, I've completely changed the kind of, you know, feeling of my lock screen just by changing the clock and date widget, which is pretty cool. But like I said, the one I like to use with this theme is called Deem. Swipe up on it, boom, I like to grab onto it and then bring it down to right at the kind of neck area, say about right there, just like so. So that is basically the setup, guys. That is all the tweaks. That's basically everything all working in one. Oh, I forgot, if you guys notice, where the status bar normally is a tweak as well. I gotta find that really quickly for you guys. I almost forgot about that. That is battery status bar. I have mine set to 1 pixel, and then when you do the bar color, you basically choose from the RGB, so you guys will just have to kind of, you know, give a good guesstimate to what color I have, because I can't show exactly the color I have. But as you can see, my device is about to die. The battery status bar is, I want to say, below 20% at this point, so I do need to charge my device after this video, but that's what I'm using to be able to tell what my battery level is at on the lock screen, and also on the springboard is the battery status bar. So that is all the tweaks, guys. I will leave all of the tweak names down in the description. So I hope you guys enjoyed this longer setup video. I showed you exactly how I have it set up to look the way it looks, and I think it's a pretty damn cool looking setup. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, definitely throw me a thumbs up. That helps me out a lot here at the channel. And if you guys want to see more videos like this in the future, don't forget to click that subscribe button. This has been Jeremy, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Later.